in a manner that made me so very, very proud. And I really give them all praise and accolades for their efforts. Usually in a snowstorm of 6 or 8 inches, the mayor's office or the chief's office is inundated with complaints from citizens. I can tell you that out of all the snowstorms we've had, that the complaints did not outnumber the calls that I got praising the DPW for their snow removal efforts. Obviously, there's not much they can do about plowing a road and having the snow pile up in front of a driveway. That doesn't only happen in Norwalk, it happens any place we have snow. So again, my hat's off to the DPW crew for all they've done, and I really know that the city of Norwalk appreciates what they've done. Another challenge we were faced with was the revaluation resulting in a $1.5 billion reduction in our grand list. This is a mandatory process occurring every 5 years. However, in 3 of the 6 districts, the median property tax will be reduced. In 2, there will be a slight increase, and unfortunately, in the 6th taxing district, they will experience a significant increase in the median property tax. However, the good news is there's been a slight shift in the tax burden from residential to the commercial side, and hopefully with the developments that are continuing and are moving forward, we'll see that happening or continue to happen more frequently. The budget. Assuming office in the middle of a budget cycle certainly can be challenging indeed. However, working closely with the finance department and department heads, Mr. Hamilton's here, many department heads are here, and I thank you for caring enough to be here. Working very closely with the finance department and department heads, we put together what we consider to be a very lean budget recommendation. While the overall increase in the budget from fiscal year 2013 to 2014 was $9.4 million, while that may seem like a significant increase, $7.6 million, or 84% of the increase, were contractually obligated. Reviewing the budget with Mr. Hamilton, I cut more than $3 million from department head requests. But again, remember that 84% of the increase that we put forward is contractually mandated, whether it be contracts that were negotiated prior to my taking office, or funding the pension funds that we are obligated by charter to fund to a certain amount. Those things, we had no choice. The result was a budget that fully funds the Board of Education, something I promised to do during the campaign, opens the Main and South Norwalk branches of the library on Sundays during the school year, and ensures a school resource officer at each of the high schools and all 4 middle schools, all while maintaining a sufficient fund balance to keep our AAA bond rating. Now, at the last meeting of the Common Council, the cap was set $500,000 below our recommended budget. So now I'll meet with the Finance Director and the Board of Estimate to determine where the appropriate cuts can be made and bring back to the Common Council our recommendations for a final budget recommendation. You know, we're struggling with our Community Action Program. Efforts are still underway to resolve that situation. NEON employees have been paid and meetings are being held to determine the future for a Community Action Program in Norwalk. It is my promise to stay on top of this issue in order to ensure social services are delivered to those in need. We need this to happen sooner rather than delaying this process any longer. We can't wait. There are people in the community who need social services. Those services are not being delivered while we continue to have discussions. Well, I'm going to move forward and make sure that we do the right thing for those people and that they finally get the services to which they're entitled. Going back into the campaign and looking at some of the things I promised to do, the first one that I want to bring to your attention and talk about is the Mayor's Nights Out. I call it bringing City Hall to the people of Norwalk. We've had 4 Mayor's Nights Out in the 3 months that I've been in office. First one was right here in City Hall in this room. Second one was at the East Norwalk Library. We had a Latino event at the Side-by-Side Charter School. And then the last one was in West Norwalk. Pleased to say that they've been well received by our Common Council members, our elected officials, and our department heads. They've all been in attendance, and I want to thank them for giving of their time on a night when they may have been home with their families. It shows how much The elected officials and the department heads in this community care about the community they serve. Each event was attended by at least 50 people who asked relevant questions and expressed concerns relative to their individual neighborhoods. I believe these events have been a resounding success and have given our citizens a voice that they perhaps did not have before. Police Commission meetings. Police Commission is a very important commission, and people in the community want to be a part of it and have a voice in discussing things with the police department and the Police Commission. So I've changed the time from 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 6:30 in the evening so people can attend. We've added a public comment section to the agenda so that people will have an opportunity to be heard. And I think that's an important part of the Police Commission, and I've wanted to do that for quite some time. Department head meetings. I promised during the campaign that I would have a monthly department head meeting. Well, I've been in office 3 months. We've had 2, unfortunately. The other one was canceled by the aforementioned snowfall that I was talking about. But we are going to continue them on a monthly basis. And one thing I think the department heads will agree. We're sitting in a room, we're talking about what's going on in our individual departments, and we're actually communicating with each other. Whereas in the past, people who had offices within 50 feet of each other might not see each other for a week or 2 weeks. Now we're talking on a regular basis, and we're coming up with ideas, we're coming up with support. One department head might say, gee, I can do that for you, and it's gratifying to see the cooperation and the dialogue that takes place. Excuse me. Talked about parking and issues in South Norwalk during the campaign. And in trying to deal with those problems and trying to find ways to resolve them, I formed a zoning task force, which we announced quite some time ago. They're currently meeting on a regular basis. The #1 problem cited by business owners is parking in South Norwalk. And they've put together a subcommittee to deal with that issue and to make recommendations to the parking authority and to my administration as to how to best resolve the parking issues that exist. They're working on wayfinding signs, how to connect the North Water Street, or I'm sorry, Washington Street and North Main Street to the Maritime Aquarium, and finding the wayfinding that is necessary to have different markers so people know where the different attractions are and they can attend and navigate their way around South Norwalk effectively and efficiently. We're also looking at a business improvement district, which will be a taxing district that the business owners in South Norwalk will be a part of, that will help fund some of the initiatives that we want, cleaner streets, security, and those kinds of things, so that people can feel comfortable in South Norwalk, can get back to what it was on its way to being at one point. I formed a business advisory council made up of business professionals in the Norwalk area who drafted and refined the job description for Economic Development Director. And we have placed advertisements for the Director of Economic Development. And I'd say that so far we've got quite a few resumes in, and we're going to be reviewing those resumes and narrowing down the ones to a workable number and start interviewing. Hopefully within the next month we'll have that person on board and fully operational. That Business Economic Director will work with the Business Advisory Council, work with the Redevelopment Agency, and work with my office to encourage people to invest in Norwalk, to bring new businesses in, and to assist the other businesses that are here. With the Business Advisory Council, the Economic Development Director will review the permit process in Norwalk. I know that it's challenging sometimes for somebody to come into Norwalk and to get permits to either develop or to add something to their home. Well, we're going to look at our permit process and find ways that we can make it more efficient, more effective, and much easier for somebody to navigate when they want to make improvements or they want to develop in Norwalk. We're going to look at zoning regulations. Where are there appropriate changes so that we can reflect what the master plan has for Norwalk, what zoning changes are appropriate, where they're appropriate, and what we can do again to make Norwalk easier for people to come in and invest in.